Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more r/my butthole mixed with some relationships, and this very Tuesday I'm now dubbing Pet Text Tuesday along with some hobby and craft as well where we're going to share some photos which you guys have been sharing over on Twitter with me of your pets and what you've been up to whilst listening. I request at the end of the videos to show me what you're up to at Mark Narrations over on Twitter, and I love to see it, so I thought it'd be a good way to get involved further, you know. Anyway, let's crack on with today's first story. And today's first story comes from a deleted user that's titled, "Am I the arsehole for hiding my daughter's autism from her?" So pretty much most of her life, our daughter, 14 female, had various issues. She had a speech delay, didn't make eye contact, was extremely hyperactive, had trouble making friends, fidgeted a lot, was extremely strict with rules, and a whole bunch of other stuff. My wife and I suspected that she may be autistic, and we took her to a psychologist when she was 4. The psychologist diagnosed her with hyperactivity disorder, although we don't know if it coexists with her autism or if it was a misdiagnosis. From 8 to 11, we gave our daughter as much early intervention as possible. She had seen behavioral and speech. She was able to speak but had a speech impediment. Therapists. I've given her various books about how to make and keep friends. At that point, she was a bookworm. We got her placed in a social class to help her build social skills. It wasn't until the end of her 4th grade year that she actually got diagnosed with autism. Her psychologist was excited to tell her, but my wife was against it. She wanted to wait until we felt our daughter was old enough to understand. We are aware of the stigma neurodivergent people experience, and she didn't want our daughter to go through that. I agreed to hide it from her until she reached adulthood. The next part is relevant. When our daughter got into grade 6, she was bullied due to her autistic traits. She was gaslit, taken advantage of, had many false friends who backstabbed her. It made our daughter insecure about her poor social skills, and that was when she started to mask. It left her with such immense trauma that she still has triggers and is in therapy. Today she came to us and asked, "What is autism?" We told her it is a different way of thinking. She was confused since she didn't know we meant it in a sense that autistic people have a different brain chemistry from neurotypicals. After we elaborated, she told us the reason why she asked. She found out that she is autistic. She apparently found some of her old medical records lying around and read them out of curiosity. She was upset and asked us how we could hide this from her. We explained that we wanted to tell her when she is older since we didn't want her to get hurt by other people. She angrily yelled that she did get hurt anyways. She said that, all this time, she thought that there was something wrong with her, but if it weren't for us, she wouldn't have taken the bullying to heart and she would have felt differently, but instead, we made her pain worse. Now she's in her room crying and refuses to speak to either of us. We are starting to wonder if we should have told her about autism when we knew. And we're going to start straight off with Psychological Week 93, who says, "You're the arsehole. You are the arsehole. You are and you will never stop being the arsehole. What you took from her is years she could have spent learning herself, learning about her autism, learning auto-defense against this world you so pretend to protect her from. Shielding her from this is abuse. It's not a shield, it's a cage. You are ableist. Hiding it all won't make anything go away. It just keeps her in the shadows about how to move forward with her autism, rather than fighting it to try and appear normal. I hope she finds a better system than you and your wife. Probably other autistic people, because damn, you're not doing parenting right here." Wood Alicia says, "You're the arsehole. Tell your children the truth in an age-appropriate way always. Lying to them will cause it to be worse in the end." Cute Hoodie says, "First of all, your daughter is upset you didn't tell her. That's the only answer you need, so you're the arsehole. Secondly, my twin brother is autistic. I suspected it 3 years ago. I've talked to my family first and everyone thought he was autistic for 2 decades and no one told him. 20 years for fuck's sake. I told him because he has never known better. He thinks being autistic equals being mentally sick and it's a bad thing. He won't see a therapist and our relationship is super hard because we have no tools to understand each other, etc, etc. If someone would have talked to him before and explained to him what autism is, it would have been really different. Also, your daughter had a lot of difficulties, and believe me, at one point she started to think, what is wrong with me? I'm broken. I can't human like others. Knowing she was wired different and she was not broken could have helped her a lot. I may be autistic too, but on a lower level. Probably ADHD, definitely anxiety and depression. I know what it feels to be different at school. So I personally think you screwed up, but you obviously tried your best. You've made a mistake, but you've done a lot of things right. Now you have to talk to your daughter and apologize and show how you love her and want the best for her, and show her that from now on you'll never hide anything from her. Give her some time to be upset and rebuild the trust. And one more from Mouseries, who says, "You're the arsehole. One of my daughters is autistic and I can't imagine deluding myself into thinking it would be better in any way to try and hide that fact. She's only 4 and recently diagnosed, but it's so helpful for her to understand it's not her fault, and for others to understand that her brain is wired a little differently than neurotypicals. She's in kindergarten and gets along well with her classmates. They all love her. All it took for her to get to experience positive peer relationship was explaining once. You took that chance from your daughter." And now we're going to move straight to that update to find out what happened next. So the update came from 3 weeks later, and it said, "Her mother and I were completely in the wrong. We should never have tried to hide an integral part of our daughter's identity. We thought we were protecting her, but we only made it worse. I didn't know that it wasn't right at the time, but now I do. We come from a country where mental stuff isn't talked about. If anything, the person gets stigmatized for it, so we did our best to support our daughter with what we knew at the time. This isn't to excuse our actions, but rather to explain them. A few hours after posting my original post, her mother and I had a long talk about this, reflecting on what we did wrong, and what we should do moving forward. I gave her space for a day or two before knocking on her door and asking her if she wanted to talk with me about it. I apologized for what we did, telling her that we love her no matter what, and promised that we would be better parents moving forward. She says that she understands that we were trying to do what we thought was best for her, but she felt hurt that we kept things from her, especially given what happened to her and having to find out from medical records of all things. She says that she isn't sure if she could trust us again for a while. Our daughter is still angry with us, although we understand why. She's at least on speaking terms with us again. We're doing our best to help our daughter through her journey of self-discovery at the moment. We got her another therapist to help her understand more about herself as well as accept the past bullying. Her mother and I are also doing research on how autism works, and we are looking to get her an IEP at her school to give her access to accommodations. In addition to this, we took some of your advice, and her mother and I have been seeking therapy to better understand our autistic daughter, as well as family therapy. Thank you all for your judgment. Thanks to those who gave tips on how to support our daughter moving forward. I feel ashamed that I didn't realize sooner that I'd harmed our daughter. She seems happier now. She understands why she is the way she is. We fiercely love our girl and are lucky to have her." Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What advice would you give to OP? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, this next story comes from Sandra 2012 ATP, who says, "Am I the asshole for labeling my drawers to end mother-in-law's confusion? So, I have a really sweet mother-in-law, husband's mum, and we got along most of the time. However, when she visits our home, I notice that she goes through my drawers in the bedroom, looking for a charger or something. I find it a bit invasive and embarrassing, especially when she opens the wrong drawer that would have personal items in it, like lingerie, and then goes on to complain about how uncomfortable it is for her every single time. We've gone back and forth on this, and when I stated that she was wrong for even looking at personal stuff, she said she got confused and didn't know what drawer had the item she looked for. Husband suggested I should just bring her whatever she needs instead of having to go inside and look herself, but she never asks. So I decided to label my drawers, meaning I put a sign on every drawer to eliminate dear mother-in-law's confusion. For example, I put sock sign on the sock drawer, then lingerie sign on the lingerie and underwear drawer, electronics, makeup drawer, etc. You get the idea. The next time mother-in-law visited, she walked into the bedroom looking for something while I was in the kitchen cooking. Minutes later, she came in with my husband asking about the signs I had on each drawer. I told her I'd just label each drawer to end her confusion and help her find what she's looking for quickly. She looked offended and said that she was neither a small child or stupid to be treated like this. I said I was really trying to help and also try to prevent her from seeing stuff that upset her in the past. She got madder and kept arguing, then left to stay at my brother-in-law's house. Brother-in-law called and berated both husband and I, and then husband lashed out saying I caused this mess and I needed to apologize. The first bit at the very beginning of this story confused me, where it said I have a real sweet mother-in-law. I couldn't work out if that was sarcastic or not after we got to the end of this story. But absolutely not the arsehole in this situation, and your husband and brother-in-law enabling this mess is absolutely not on either. So you're just meant to allow this person go through your personal items willy-bloody-nilly? Absolutely not. The fact that she's wandering around your bedroom to begin with is worrying behavior to me instantly. I wouldn't want someone just randomly snooping around my bedroom looking for stuff. It just seems like it's just one big excuse to snoop to me. And the fact that she's done it multiple times is just bizarre behavior. News says, not the arsehole, she feigned confusion to excuse her snooping. You believed and accommodated her. She's mad you believed her lies and took her excuse away. Photos beer and teachers not the arsehole, and you are my kind of hero. The signs essentially eliminated her excuse to snoop, and now she's salty about it. Hopefully your husband gets his head out of his ass and realizes that his mother is literally offended over you labeling your own drawers. If she didn't want to be able to snoop, why would that bother her? Total Being says, this is next level gaslighting. So this woman has zero boundaries and rummages through your personal items on the regular, then gets upset when she sees something that should actually be there. Then she overreacts, gets offended when you treat her like a child, even though she has behaved like one on numerous occasions in your house. She follows it up with this chaser. Let's talk smack about OP and get everyone pissed off at her. There is no way you are the arsehole, but that doesn't really cover it adequately. There really is so much wrong with this. I think you might need a reality check. This family is sick, not the arsehole. Diablo says, buy a strap-on with the biggest dildo you can find. Give her something to clutch her pearls over. Belief says she is nosy as fuck and her boys enable her. You are being logical and rational. Clearly she got busted and no longer had an excuse, so she's blaming you instead of admitting she's being inappropriate. Her entire response is overblown and she knows how to manipulate her sons. Say that when she visits she needs to stay at brother-in-law's house from now on and see how long her behavior lasts there. And one more from Voldemar, who says, not the arsehole, your mother-in-law should not be rummaging around your drawers in your bedroom to begin with, no more than she would want you to be rooting around in her drawers at her home. If she needs something that is not a public access area, then she needs to ask for assistance and not go snooping through your personal stuff. Now, what would you do in this situation? I think OP handled it pretty well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Daisy Dello, who says, am I the arsehole for taking family photos to send out without my actual mum and stepdad, and with friends in costume as them, after they took their family photos without me? I was born to a teen mum. My mum had me at 17. She later married my stepdad, and they had my step-siblings who are 9 and 12 respectively. I'm 18 and in college now. Before Easter, I was at college and I found out that my mum and stepdad took family photos without me for the cards. My mum said it was just because she needed them printed in time and I was at college. But college is only 25 minutes away, and I feel like my stepdad is resentful that their family includes some other guy's child. He also described the photo as of close family, but then backpedaled and said I just wasn't as close physically because I'm at college. So I decided to play a little joke. I took my younger siblings and 2 of my best friends to Walmart Photoshop, and we took deliberately cheesy family photos, all wearing blue jeans and jean jackets. My friends dressed as my mum and stepdad. My female friend wore a bald cap to be my stepdad, and my male friend wore a wig and a denim dress to be my mum. My friend is really talented with makeup and honestly did a great job making them look like them. We took a bunch of pictures with props and picked a favourite of all of us standing in silly action poses, wearing raccoon skin hats. Between the makeup, hair and big hats, we all agreed my friends looked like my parents when the picture was postcard sized. It was honestly a really fun photo, really different than the serious ones my family always takes. I had it printed on cards and signed them with "Love, the name of the family." I swapped the cards in the envelopes my mum had prepared and resealed them with the sort of stickers she uses. Apparently a couple of my extended family members didn't look hard enough at the pictures to notice something was off and just displayed them. But a few people mentioned to my mum that the picture was funny, which pissed her off because she thought they were talking about her very boring photo of all of them sitting on a picnic blanket with a giant Easter basket. Then my aunt sent a photo of the card to the family group chat and said, "This isn't you, is it?" And the gig was up. My mum was furious at me for sending out the joke cards and embarrassing the family, and also for not sending the cards she had made and wrote in. I told her that I didn't get why she was upset about being left out of the family photo. Apparently, it isn't a big deal to be treated like you are not part of the family. She said I was making a mockery of her and my stepdad by having cross-dressers be in the photo. I said that I just wanted a photo with my close family, just like my stepdad did, and I consider those friends of mine my closest family. Because I guess that's just something we can choose now. My mum got so mad at me, sassing her, that she told me to leave and I went back to college. Am I the arsehole for pulling that stunt with the Easter photos? Justified arsehole or not the arsehole, whichever it is, I'm all for the petty in this particular story. I think your worry about your stepdad's resentment towards you hasn't come out of nowhere. There's obviously things you've picked up on in the past, and the way he described the photo of close family then backpedaled is, worrying in itself. So yeah, I'm going to go in not the arsehole on this one. But I do sort of wonder, and it's the Reddit in me coming out here, what else he's up to in the background, just from what you've explained in that brief paragraph there. And maybe you should make that like a yearly thing now. But Moon Macabre says, "Not the arsehole, this is hilarious. I was in the same position as you. I'd watch out about your stepdad. Seems like he's working on turning your mum against you. He started in the same way with me, by leaving me out of family photos when I'd be away at my paternal grandparents' house. Maybe that won't happen to you, but watch your back, and if he ever says anything out of line to you, make sure you keep the receipts. Now at 25, I haven't spoken to my mum in 4 years because she chose her husband over me. I made the mistake of never having caught what kind of things he said to me with tangible proof." Lolka says, "It's been said before, but this sub really needs a justified the arsehole category. You've got my full respect for doing that, and it's hilarious, but it was an arsehole move to swap the cards and send them out." Corpsicle says this so much. "Was it an arsehole move to mess with someone else's property? Yes, of course. Was it malicious? Yes, in a malicious compliant sort of way. But you, your friends and your siblings had some pretty wholesome fun. No one was physically hurt, and the emotional hurt your mother and stepfather felt was mild compared to what they did to you. By the way, they are just looking for something to be mad at you for. If they have to dig down to, it's disrespectful because cross-dressers. They just don't want to be called out and are grasping at straws at this point so they can say what they did was okay and what you did was bad. You were far more disrespected than either of them were." Miss Contra says, "Not the arsehole, and I can't stop laughing. You are fantastic. I love your sense of humor. Wish I was this creative and petty. I love to see it." Miss Lowe says, "Not the arsehole, only because this is a genius idea and you actually executed it. Good for you. Sometimes one has to stoop to pettiness to get their point across, and you did it in a humorous way. Side note, your mum's crack about cross-dressers was not cool. Keep an eye on her homophobia. Reminder that men played women's parts on stage for years and years." Tashia Nicole says, "I refuse to pass judgment on this magnificent prank that does in fact make you look a bit like the arsehole, but they are too. Actual ones. But I refuse to say that you suck here too, but it wasn't right, lol." Anyway, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. And this story comes from Electronic Rain 6426, who says, "Am I the arsehole for being honest about why I was eating lunch in my car on my birthday instead of the staff room? I have some minor anxiety. I'll admit to that, and I get it is on me to manage. I work in a hospital and sometimes people get cake for their birthday. Mine isn't always remembered because I'm not in the cool crowd, but I've gotten cakes in the past. 2 weeks ago, I was in the staff room and one of the doctors had a birthday and her face was pushed into the cake, and I mean fully pushed in. I would die if someone did that to me. I would be so humiliated that I'd think I'd start crying, and I wouldn't be able to control my anger. I almost got hit with cake she threw, and even that infuriated me. And also the guy who did this is a department head and the board kisses his ass, so there isn't even anything I could do. Anyway, I decided to play it safe and eat in my car for a week, just in case anyone remembered. When a few people asked about it, I was honest and said I'm not cool with a cake smashing. This incident wasn't the first time. that goes on in the staff room, and that if he did that to me, I would lose it. Well, that got back to him and he confronted me and told me I'm a creep. He's never even talked to me, so why would he do that? The other woman was his fiancée. Okay, I actually didn't know that part. I avoid all hospital gossip. He said I'm really creepy for even thinking about that and not to worry about the cake smashing because I don't even have friends. A couple of people took his side and said I was accusing him of something. Absolutely not the arsehole in the situation to me, and I can totally get your anxiety from these sorts of situations. I've been in one, well, myself a couple of times actually when I used to work for previous companies, and always around the same day people were bringing cakes for birthdays and sing happy birthday to you. And I remember one particular company, I can remember the day, and I was anxious all day because at some point I know everyone was going to gather around, sing at me, and I absolutely hated that sort of stuff. I hate being in the spotlight. I just like to do my own thing in the background and get my work done and go home. So that wasn't enjoyable to me. Obviously there wasn't a cake smashing or anything like that. And I know they were trying to do a good thing out of the goodness of their hearts, They weren't trying to be malicious or nasty towards me or anything like that, but it still did make me anxious, and I can totally get where OP was coming from. That you've seen someone's face being pushed into a cake, not knowing who it is, and that might happen to you on your birthday. It might become like a tradition, seeing as you've seen it multiple times before. And whose business is it anyway if you go and eat your lunch in your car or what? And even when you did explain the situation, the department head, a senior, could have come to you and said, look, I'm definitely not going to be doing that to you, don't worry, and just eased your anxiety, but instead turns around to call you a creep and that you don't even have friends. But Namaste says not the arsehole. A department head called you a creep and said you had no friends. This is highly unprofessional and borderline harassment. Eat What Cafe says not the arsehole. You saw something that would stress you and took reasonable steps to avoid it. You lacked a key piece of information and that was it. He was rude to say those things. Electric Date says, he was rude and unprofessional. Why would he even approach OP? If OP really is the rando of the department and no one had any intention to interact with them, let alone celebrate their birthday or push their face into cake, then why not just ignore them? I wouldn't be pushing anyone's face into a delicious cake. But if I had heard someone that I didn't know was hiding in their car to avoid me doing something like that I didn't intend to do to begin with, I would just pay them dust. Yeah, we haven't even got started on the wasting cake here. Holy shit. Green Rose Schaefer says, not the arsehole. It's the first time I've heard someone being called a creep when all they're doing is keeping to themselves, lol. I would do my best to avoid that shit if I were you. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? It has to be a not the arsehole, right? Just for the cake wasting alone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today. Getting involved in the stories, your love, support and time always means the absolute world. And as always, if you have a moment of your time, don't forget to share me what you're up to or your pet tax over on Twitter at Narrations. Come get involved as always. I love to see it. And just a huge thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today